Welcome to Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast, the Black Love Matter series. This is the last show for this February series, and I will have two couples, but right now I have my first couple, the Ramseys, and I would like for them to introduce themselves and kind of tell where they're at and where they're from.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so I'm Nicole Ramsey. Hello, everyone.
Hi, my name is Eric Ramsey, and I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
So we're here in LA, but I'm from Morgan City, Louisiana.
Wow. How long you been in LA?
So I've been in LA since 1992, I believe. So it's been a while. So I was raised in Louisiana, but shortly after high school, I moved to LA, then went off to college in North Carolina, and then came back to LA.
Okay.
And I've been here since 2005.
2005.
Yes.
Okay. So that comes to my first question. How did you guys meet? How did Eric and Nicole meet?
Well, we try to change this story up, but
Give me truth. I want truth.
You want the real answer, or you want
the real answer?
The made up answer.
Okay. So basically, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a shout out to Black People Meet. The one time I decided to get on Black People Meet, take it seriously and not just go back and forth with playing around. I met Nicole on Black People Meet.
Wow. So it works.
Yeah.
It works. Now, let me be honest. I had to kiss a few frogs before I found the prince who turned into the king.
Okay.
Likewise. Likewise. Yeah.
Wow. So wow. So how many years has that been? How long did it take you to court? Or date?
Well, we met, I think it started in 2012, 13?
I believe it was 13.
Like 2013. And then Nicole had a situation that she had just got out of a situation. And my thing is that I was ready to be married. So I left, she wasn't ready to get married. So I went and got married for a year, and then I divorced less than a year. And and then we got back together in 2015.
I went to go get my man. So we dated 2013. I believe the beginning of 13, all throughout 2014, but I had gone through a divorce in 2010. So I was spending some time with myself, trying to figure some things out about myself, because I had always been in a relationship since a teenager. And then married, in my 20s. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility and try to figure some things out about myself first, so that I can attract the type of man that I wanted. So I didn't know it would take this long, but it took me about 5 years after my first divorce to figure me out, my boundaries. What are my likes? What are my dislikes? And then I figured if I mold myself or figure out things about myself, then I'll know exactly the things that I like about someone else, to spend time and space with someone else, which manifests itself to Eric.
Okay. All right. And well, this is good. So in a way, this was like a short date life, but then a longer court life after you left the other relationships, you think?
Right. Yeah, because we got back 2015, then we got married in 2017.
Okay.
So what we did, we were together that first year, kind of, sort of. I wasn't ready again to be in a committed relationship. So that first year, Eric didn't really voice that he wanted to be in a committed relationship, but I figured it out after he showed up on social media married to someone else. Now, I have to be honest, we weren't in a committed relationship. I made it very clear that I didn't want to be in a committed relationship. So, and he obviously wanted to be in one. So when he married the lady, they spent their year together. We didn't talk during that time. After a year, I think I reached out, because Eric is really big on birthdays. So I reached out to him on his birthday, and we were able to talk about some things, and I realized they were no longer together. And we dated. We decided we were going to start dating again. But this time in 2015, I decided, okay, well, I'm open to a committed relationship. So let's see how it goes. So we decided that we would date for 1 year with no pressure to get married. Let's just see what happens in 1 year.
Oh, okay. So how did that work? How did that go?
It was a conversation. It was a conversation that we had, and I thought that, I said, well, Eric, let's spend a year together and just see how things go. No real pressure. Just see how things go. And if we still feel whatever we feel after 1 year, whether we would stay together and proceed or stop, whatever it would be, we would do that after 1 year. I knew probably about 6 months in that he was someone, probably before that, but I knew I wanted to marry him after, if he asked me, after about 6 months.
After 6 months.
After 6 months.
But once we decided to get to that point, I didn't know that she wanted to marry until one day she just said, "You better ask me to marry you," and she kind of.
Well, because that year I didn't want the pressure of trying to figure out if we were going to get married within the year. I really wanted to date and see if these new things I discovered about myself in that 5-year period from my first situation or marriage. I wanted to have I'm not going to say no strings attached, because we were in a committed relationship, but I didn't want the pressure. Sometimes I can speak for myself as a woman. We want to know, is he going to marry me? Is he going to ask me to marry him? Does he see me that way? Well, I didn't want that pressure. I didn't want to I didn't want to focus on that. What I wanted to focus on in that year was if we were compatible enough to go further or to break off. That's all I wanted to know. So after some time, I'm like, yeah, I want to marry him. And I think we both knew it. Right. We just did the conversation. I didn't have to nag him, as they say, about
you didn't have to pressure.
Where are we? What are we doing here? We didn't have to do any of that.
So, Eric, this is a question to you. Do you believe, and I know you've been down this road before, but now that you found the one, okay, do you think that married life has impacted your life differently? How is it for you as a man?
Well, my thing is, at some point you become when that Bible thing that said, when you become a man, you put childish ways, wherever it came from, you put childish ways behind you. Well, I'm a man, so as a man, I wanted to be in a situation where I'm no longer, all over the place, and I got one person that I can concentrate on and give all my love to and share life with. It just clicked in my head that Nicole was the person for me, and then that's who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. So it wasn't it was easy to do it because I knew at that point that that's what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be with. So
you could say that it's both has positively impacted your life.
Yeah, definitely has positive. It's a very positive, and it's positive more and more every day we together.
Okay, because lately let's just be honest. The reality shows, the internet, social media. Everything is so go fast. I want it now. That whole thing. What I like about your story is that you did court. Because what you said to me is that for that year or two, even, after you, were single again, you used that time to kind of court, which means know each other. Right. Know what God has for you as a couple. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We always say we're friends.
We're friends first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, right. So, so that gives us, as far as the singles or divorce or widowers, whatever our audience may be, that hope that it's okay to take your time. Yeah. Take your time.
Right. Right. And I'm over 40. Yeah, and Eric, obviously, we're over 40, over 45 actually. So, I get it. You want to have that person, but once you are in that committed relationship, that marriage, I'm not going to say there's a lot of things you got to give up. You're still yourself, but you have to be ready to, accept someone into your space and you be in their space. It's like, without sounding creepy, it's like when your siblings growing up and your siblings get on your nerves and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to grow up and get out of this house. I mean, we have our moments where I feel a little smothered. I'm just being honest. But at the same time,
like I'm tired of hearing you breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
But
well, you know what? It works for us because we know how to give the other person their space, even within the home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, something as simple as sharing the TV. That's not something I was accustomed to. I want to watch what I've been at work all day. I want to come home. I want to watch what I want to watch. But in this case, Eric helps to relieve me of a lot of responsibilities, and he helps me so that I can have the moment to relax. So, he shares with me, which makes me want to share more with him. So something like just watching television, I may do a couple of hours of my show and then I hand the remote over and say, hey, it's your turn. What are we watching? ESPN, whatever it's sports, football. I'm there. I may not be in it, but I'm there.
But you're there.
Yeah.
BFF, and I was a witness at her and her husband's wedding. I'm a witness. I've been in so many weddings, but anyway. But
that's all right. Just prepare for the story. That's all right.
Coming.
Yes, ma'am.
And she just talked about that, how she said, yes, when, especially with quarantine, with, now that you're home more, she said you have to be prepared to share that space.
That's right.
So, and you will get on each other's nerve, but knowing that out of respect, my space and I know your space and trying to mesh.
Yeah.
Speaking of meshing, so do you think you are opposites that attracted or some similarity?
So I'm big on it's the similarities that attract. I know the adage says opposites attract. Yeah. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe it's the things that I like about myself that I actually like about Eric. For instance, we're not the most healthy people in the world, but we do work out on a regular basis. I want to be physically attracted to my man. As I know men like to be physically attracted. I mean, that's just a given, right? So the chemistry is there. We like to work out. I like working out. I like working hard. I'm from the South. My father was a laborer. And so Eric works hard. He's a hard worker. I like that. It's the things that I like about myself that I find I like about him.
So there's a similarity. So
that's the only thing that would probably be opposite is that I'm tall, she's shorter. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm male, she's female, So.
But y'all, because can I be honest, just when you sat down together, even last time we had the male perspective, I could tell y'all had that similarity.
Yeah.
Y'all seem to be woven.
And we do the same thing as far as the industry, the film industry. We partners. That's why we're Team Ramsey Entertainment.
Yeah.
Team Ramsey. All right, I'm gonna get to that.
That's right.
So now that you're meshed, and you've been married since you said 2017, right? Yeah. Okay. So what is your love language? Do you know each other's love language?
I like, we're going to my likes again. I like to have dinner once a month, go out, date night. What do you want to call it? Have a couple of glasses of wine, which makes me feel really good. And it gives me a chance to think about just us, not so much the kids, not the house, not the business. And it makes me feel a certain way. So he gets a little more out of me, if you know what I mean, when I feel like he cares enough to take me on a date night. And it could be something simple. It could be something fancy. It doesn't matter. But he makes an effort to take me out once a month so that I can have time for him once a month. The effort is at least.
We've been out 3 times this week.
For this week, but generally speaking, my language is dinner. I love nice dinners. Yes.
Okay. What's yours, Mr. Eric?
I don't think I really have one. I just love my wife and getting along with her. And when she's happy, my love language probably be when she's happy, then I'm happy because, the house is happy.
Happy wife makes happy life. That's what my dad used to say to my brothers. Happy wife makes a happy life.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, what do you worship together? What's your worship like?
So our work, that's one of the things I do in LA is I'm a video production director for churches in LA. So on Sundays, I work throughout different churches, small churches, big churches, mega churches. So I don't get a chance to quote unquote worship like a lot of people on Sundays, but we do pray together and pray for each other.
That's worship. Let me say, worship is not
in a church,
in a building. Worship is us. And marriage is
always praying for each other.
Always praying for each other, with each other, for each other. We may stop and say, okay, this is a big one, good or bad, or whatever the situation may be that we're dealing with or facing, or even some good things that may be happening for us, like a big project. And I'm like, all right, babe, let's get a prayer in real quick. Let's pray. Let's focus. Let's meditate because we need to manifest this and we need to ask for permission and guidance, from God, from heaven. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. That's really important because it builds trust too, I believe. That helps to build trust.
It builds trust.
Because you're so vulnerable when that's such a sacred time.
Yeah, it's intimate, isn't it?
It's so intimate. Yeah, it's intimate. So to see him praying for us and let himself be as vulnerable and open as that, and let me hear and see him talking to God, that's important to me.
Yeah.
So therefore, you lead it. You lead it, Eric.
Well, again, sometimes maybe Nicole, maybe we don't. It doesn't matter who does it. At least as long as someone does it.
Yeah,
someone is led to do it.
Who's ever being led is the way we do things. Which brings me to another point. In our relationship, roles are defined. Generally speaking, we have roles that are defined, but it just helps keep clarity on who's doing what. But roles changed. So today, Eric is the breadwinner. I work, but he works.
Yeah.
I do the cooking. I do the cleaning, but I'm home working most of the time. So those roles are pretty much understood of who's going to do what. But if they switch at some time, it's not male, it's not a gender role, it's not male versus female. It's just the way it works for us. And I know every situation is different for every relationship. So I'm really cautious when I talk to couples on what they should and shouldn't be doing because every couple is different and they handle it differently. And that's what that year was about, that before marriage, trying to figure out what works.
That's
in an organic, comfortable way for everyone, right?
Yeah, and we do what works for us. Yeah. We definitely don't try to tell anybody how to do that. Mm-hmm. Do you, and let us do us.
Yeah. But what I like what you did for what I'm doing the show is you started with some type of foundation. It wasn't overnight. There is no.
No.
Marriage is about paying bills. Marriage is about raising children, getting a household together. Well, for us, like a person like me, or for you guys, building an empire, because you're building an empire, So let's get into that. Tell me how you build your empire together, how that plays out, because you got marriage and now you also have partnership in that business.
Right. Well, it started pretty organically because I was working on something. Nicole was doing her school and working at the church, and then it's funny because she was talking about roles and how sometimes how income levels switch and change, because I needed some help with because my thing is, even though I'm an independent film company and I was only making nothing doing security, at some point I needed help with financing the movie that we were working on, that had started on, and I was working with another partner, and then Nicole, that partner that just didn't work out. I'm not going to say anything negative about that person, but it didn't work out. And Nicole was like, okay, you know what? How much do you need? And so she gave me money to help me finish what I was working on. And then that started to build the foundation for us going into Team Ramsey Entertainment. And we ended up, starting the LLC, and then just, making it a company. And since then, 2017, we've actually done four movies?
I don't know, at least three.
4 movies, yeah.
Wow. As a team.
Yeah, for I think what helped Eric and I is we both are individuals first. So it's not so much that we get together and try to figure out who's going to do what in the partnership. It's more of who's going to bring, it's more of what you bring to the table that's already in your, in your toolbox. So by the time I met Eric, I had already had, I think, 20 years of production behind me, and he had just as much time. So you're looking at 40 years of production experience. And so Eric is a director for film. That's not my area. I'm a director for live TV, which is two totally different types of work. I'm a producer. Eric is a producer. But when we are in our roles in the business, in the company, I don't cross over by any means into Eric's field. Lane, and he doesn't cross over into my lane. If I see something that I think would help, I will wait until after work or maybe pillow talk or whatever and say, why don't you try this? Or what do you think about this? It's his decision as the director than it is mine. So we stay in our own lanes when it comes to our company.
But Nicole got more as she grew through school and everything.
Yeah.
She got more comfortable in voicing her opinion about certain things, to the betterment of the company. Because I never look at something like what she's trying to say, well, you're not good, you can't do this, you can't do that. I always look at it what she's doing in order to help us become better and grow as a company.
But it is definitely his choice. It's his choice. I can watch something crash and burn and be like, hey, that ain't my, because the thing about it is it all falls back on the director or the producer, right?
Right.
I never want to say that I impeded on anything, his creativity or anything he was doing with his team or his crew. Not to mention, I don't even know what they talk about all the time. So I don't know what they're going for. So I stay in my lane. If it's a movie, I'm the assistant director. My job is simply just to run the set. It's not to get into the creative part of it. If I am the director, then I expect, to be treated as the director, which I am for the most part, working with men sometimes. But
she bossy.
Not me.
No, she bossy.
Now Nicole controls the set now. She know how to control the set.
Well, that's my job.
And so because I'm more laid back.
Yeah.
I'll let the actors,
Eric.
I'll let them use whatever creative genius they want to bring to the set. I let them use. I give them their opportunity. But I'm gonna insert what I think as well. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I'll let them speak on, do what they feel that what they bring best to the character.
Yeah.
And then now Nicole will tell you too. Now you act a fool on me, I'm gonna act a fool back now. She always called me like, to me, y'all done made that gentle giant mad now.
They gotta earn that.
Definitely.
If I'm acting like that, that means you worked me.
Eric's sets are definitely chaotic in comparison to my sets.
Yeah, I can tell because she I was like, "Who's bossy?" She's like, "Yeah."
But when I want control now, I got it.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
You do.
Yeah. So you balance each other even in the business world.
Yes.
Is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, how long have you guys worked together? Has it been the total life of the marriage, or is this new?
Yeah, the whole time we've been married, we've been working together.
Even before marriage.
Yeah, even before.
From the beginning, I think we both because when Eric and I picked up on the second dating experience, Eric was in the middle of a movie. So I would go down just to see what was going on, and I saw some areas that I could help out in. So we started working together pretty much from day one. Mm-hmm. But remember, this is a passion individually for us to work in television and film, right? behind the scenes. So, it's like any friendship where you see you can help out without stepping on toes or crossing over, boundaries. So I saw that from day one, and I saw that he respected that. So, and we don't, Eric runs his sets. Eric has his sets. We don't necessarily spend a lot of time asking each other anything. It's like, listen, I have a movie. This is what I need to do today. So Eric will get up and go work with his editor. He will go up and work with his cinematographers and his DPs or his actors. And I may be able to make it that day. I may not. You know what I mean? Or he'll say, I need a colorist, or I need an editor. And I'm like, okay, let me put a filler out there. So, we know where our strengths are in the business and also in the marriage. And you
just make it happen for each other.
That's it. No egos, no overthinking it, no fussing, no arguing, just what works best in this moment and who is better at doing it in this moment to get the work done. Right. And we get a lot of things accomplished, I believe, because we do have that balance and we do work well together.
So do you think because you're artists, because one thing about being an artist, you always look at life or people more passionately and about their differences, and it's kind of like bringing those differences together to make a beautiful thing. So do you think that helps in your genre, working in film, because I feel like you're artists, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We're a team. I think when you grow up with siblings or you play team sports growing up, Eric having gone to the NFL all the way to the professional level, me having worked with growing up with siblings, being the oldest, and being a supervisor for, I think at one time I had 52 reportees. Mm-hmm. It will teach you to humble and work with the team, right? And defining our different strengths and bringing out the best in people. So I think it's the team, the creative part. I've met some creatives who don't necessarily work well with other people, but in this business, as the collaboration is what brings the art to life, right?
Right.
So it's the team building for me that works out well, more so than the creative part of it.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it sounds like both of you have children. How many children do you have altogether?
So I have two. I have a 24-year-old and my daughter will be 18 next month in a few days.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I have a 33-year-old.
Okay, so there's three altogether.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the blended, even though they're grown, because again, that's where I'm at. But this day and age, there's a lot of blending or blended families, not just with the kids, but other families. How do you, especially now, because I'm the same, I'm way over 45. Way over.
You look good.
Well, thank you. You do too. So when you get to that point as marriage, how do you work with as far as blending your family? How's that?
He has to deal with that.
The good thing about this blended family is that they're here. They're not off like somewhere. My son lives in Texas though, in Fort Worth. Oh, okay. But Nicole's two kids, they live here, and I've had some kind of relationship with them for over 6 or 7 years now. Mm-hmm. So therefore, it's like I'm Rams to them, and
Rams.
We all get along great. There's no issues as far as they don't talk back or act crazy with me or anything like that. And I think it comes just from they see that I love and respect them as well as their mother. And so they don't, especially when you have boys, when a boy can see that you respect his mother, then he's going to do what he can to try to, not be as volatile or act a certain way towards you, because he know that if you love his mother, boys and their mothers, and then and then the same with with the daughter. I treat her just like she's my child. It's not I don't see them as and they're going to be in my will and everything else. So
and for me, I made a conscious decision to not force anything. I as a mother, we're always aware of, our loved ones, but I step back and I let them form their own relationship, organic relationship individually. Okay. I watched it in the beginning, and when one would come to me, the kids would come to me and say, whatever it is that they want to ask me about Eric, I said, why don't you ask him? And vice versa. If Eric had situations where, he wanted to tell me something about the kids, I said, did you have that conversation with them, with them individually? And I say that because I remember growing up with a stepfather, and my mother would be in the middle of it, and she felt like she was in the middle. And I made a conscious choice back then as a kid and say, I'm going to let this, if that ever happens to me where it's a blended family, I'm going to let them organically build their relationships.
Yeah. Even as adults.
Even more, just as much as an adult,
Mm-hmm. I have two boys, two young men. Yeah.
But they'll see how he loves you, I'm thinking, and they'll acquiesce. They'll get it, they'll jump on board and see, they'll watch though. They'll definitely watch and may even have my son has conversations with me on the side, and he tells me how he really feels, and he loves them, he loves Rams. Yeah. And I even see the male bonding thing going on that I don't necessarily always understand how they're communicating, but I can see that they're communicating like two men who care about each other.
That's awesome. You blend it, and you blend it well.
Yes.
And so last but not least, and I want to hear from both of you, mm-hmm. Eric and Miss Nicole, what is your advice? And I'm not saying what to do in a marriage or what to do in preparation of one, but what is a great advice that you have for our audience that are single in preparation, or maybe there are couples out there that are engaged or courting? What are some of the things you would like to leave our audience on as far as marriage?
Well, for me personally, I would tell them to not, first and foremost, not to rush something. Let it happen. Pray. Put God first in any situation that you find yourself in. Don't. I mean, I'm talking to the old me, the one that was out there, and just don't be all over the place. Let it happen. A lot of times there's situations where you see this one, like I told you in the last meeting we had, where I was like, what's over here? What's over there? What's over here? What's over?
Were you? I don't even see him that way, so that's weird to me.
He grew, Nicole.
Yeah.
So if you're not in that mode, then a lot of times you can see what's what's going on. Be patient and know that through your prayer and through your believing that God's going to find the right person for you, that it will happen, and not just rush something and just do something just for the sake of doing it.
Just for the sake of being married.
Yeah.
What about you?
So having said that, I agree with Eric. To the singles, I say, once you meet someone, spend some time really getting to know that person. You know what I mean? Don't put the pressure on yourself to be married so quickly. Put the pressure on yourself if you're going to be under pressure to learn about one another. Be friends within that first year or two, however you set it up. For me, what worked was simply just saying, let's date for 1 year. Some may say 2 years. Some may say 6 months. But, putting that time limit on it and really focusing within that time frame on the friendship. Because listen, honey, I'm just going to be honest. That love, you always going to love them. But that like, it comes and goes. But if you have a genuine friendship, you have something to fall back on. Sometimes I look at Eric and say, I really like him. I like the person.
You have to like the person.
You have to like them because it happens. Remember your space goes, is short and it's smaller space because now you're sharing. So you want to share space with somebody that you actually like or know, right? So that's for the single. For the engaged and married couples, I would say, be truthful, even when it hurts.
Honest. Yeah.
You gotta be truthful. Even if you shake while you're telling the truth, tell the truth, because building that trust is going to take you a long way. Because there's some folks out there that will try to come between your marriage. if you let it. Without getting too far into an example, I had a situation where someone said some things about Eric that just wasn't true. You know, she tried, but this was before we got married, actually. She tried, but I'm like, no, because I know him and where he was and what he was doing at that time. And I'm the first to say, you know, open to people's honesty and truth. So I wasn't taking up for him. I was simply listening to what she was saying. And I'm just like, nah, that's not adding up. Now, if it added up, that would be a different conversation. But because I know him and we spend time together, just what you're saying is not something that he, you know, that sounds like something he would do. So be truthful, married couples and people who are engaged. And
also one other thing I would add too, that Nicole and I learned to do. And we decided that always have, if there comes a situation where you disagree with something that may have happened, have rules of engagement. And Nicole told me this: first of all, don't put nothing in your back pocket and hold on to, but more importantly, don't hit below the belt. Don't say something that you can't come back from.
Yeah.
Name calling, and because you know how fights go. A fight is a fight. Sometimes a fight is where you just want to win and you want to be right. And
especially if you married a competitive person.
And we're team players, right? We come from backgrounds of sports and teams and siblings. So you have that competitive background, but you have to stop and think, if I say this, can I recover from this in a week? Right. If I say this. And so in the beginning, one of the things I would say to Eric is, when you say certain things, be careful, because I may not be able to recover if it's said enough. If it hurts my feelings enough, it may be the demise of us. So we have to have rules of engagement. Let's not go below the belt when we fight, because we're going to fight, but let's not go below the belt. Let's come up with some rules, and let's try to stick to the rules.
But in all these years, we haven't fought a whole lot.
But we have fought.
But not a whole lot.
Okay, y'all fighting now. Okay, I'm on my podcast. So I'll be like, Mr. Gage started. I ain't trying to do that. I want to be invited to your anniversary party, okay? Y'all are too wonderful. I like the honesty, but I want to say, don't you think when you say about keeping people out of your marriage is about discerning the people around you and their spirits? And that includes sometimes family, only by what I've witnessed. And so it sounds like you two have that team spirit, that friendship where you kind of discern, okay, honey, I don't know about that. Okay, I don't know about that, Nicole. It sounds like you both are simpatico about that. That's awesome.
Definitely.
You can't just come with Nicole out of the blue and say something about me, and then vice versa.
No, because that comes with experience, age, right? Yeah, that's just experience and age. You're not just you're not going to just listen to somebody that come to you with some craziness. You're going to say, okay, well, let's have a conversation.
Say that again. Okay, well, we got some grown folks who's supposed to be grown.
Yeah.
That I'm noticing, like I was telling your husband on the last podcast, I worked in community development, and I was also as a banker in my past life. So I dealt with financials, because financials is usually one of the biggest issues among couples that they don't be honest about or talk about until they're in front of me, and it's just interesting because when I got to listen to so many couples from all over, from every age, every race, oh my God, that would just sit there, thought I was a marriage counselor. I am not a marriage counselor, okay? And I'm a single one. This is the irony of my life. And they will just tell me about some of the hiccups that they will have, and it's normally allowing these other voices or other spirits, I call them the Jezebel spirit. And Jezebel spirits can be both male and female, but that's a whole nother class. But just in their ear and know how to weave into that relationship or that crack, and just make that crack bigger. So I always say is, like you said, kind of step back and say, okay, wait a minute, when did it shift?
Yeah.
I had that moment. When did it? Okay, babe, when did this shift? And it could be something on me, or it could be something on that person, or whatever. But don't you think we, as a individually and as a corporate, as a couple, have to watch out for that kind of spirit.
I believe spirits jump. Yeah, I'm so temperamental about spirits that if I hear two people arguing, a couple, I'll be like, I'm ready to leave just because I don't want those spirits to, negative spirits to jump on us in our relationship. And I try to be very conscious of that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. I've got his back. Even if I have questions, later on, or, we're still trying to figure it out. Sometimes we may have a discussion in front of a group of people. But there's a lot of forgiveness too. That's really the big thing for each other. You got it. It's almost daily where you have to forgive because it's not always intentional, but sometimes it's hurtful. It can be hurtful, some of the things he says or does, or vice versa that I say and do to him. But we are very forgiving of one another because we like each other. Remember?
Yeah, that's to me. Isn't that a love language? I love when you said forgiveness.
Forgiveness, for sure.
So that's why it starts with you. I like how you both said, and Eric reiterated that you're individuals that brought themselves together.
Don't lose your individuality. Do not lose your individuality. That is so important for two individuals to come together and give 100% on each side, not 50-50, not 60-40.
Come on now.
100% on each side. I'm an individual. Now I got to fight as a woman sometimes a little bit more for my individuality because I think that I think men think women are born to be their helpmates. And sometimes we need them just to help us, whatever that help may be. Or sometimes we just don't want to help. We want to go lay down just like them. I have my own stuff I have to do on a regular basis. That's me. I take full responsibility. If I'm working a full day, I don't want to help you with your day. I'm just being honest. So individuality,
but compromise. So
and help when you want to, or when you can.
Well, you better pray for Mr. Gator because I'm kind of a little bit of a demanding woman, just a tad, but in a positive way.
And you'll find someone who will complement that. How about that?
Yeah.
He'll be there at your every beckoning need.
And vice versa for him because I do believe in honoring, a man and honoring his role and honoring his day in his life. As they say, I want to be his peace, not the war.
Right.
Because that can also, I've seen that happen.
Yeah. That power structure.
Team Ramsey, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for allowing us into your world and to your marital status for a while. I wish you and pray the best. I can't wait to come to LA because I'm already saying, okay, you didn't adopt it.
You can't come to LA without stopping by here.
Oh, definitely.
And I wish you much,
sir.
I said, thank you for having us. Well, thank you for having me on all three shows.
He is wonderful. He's wonderful. And I love the calendar. I told him, I said, my female, they like.
Yeah, tell them we only have like a box left. So if they need to get all and order all they're going to order because they're going to be gone for.
I'm going to get that out tonight. I did what you told me, Eric. That's what I told him. Get on this PayPal site.
Agatha, thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
Be blessed.
You too. All right. Have a good one.
You
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.